What attracted me to studying ancient Egypt is the language. That was a real window into an ancient society. An ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead is actually not a book. It's rather a collection of about 200 different spells or chapters. The spells of the Book of the Dead together as a whole are intended to help the deceased transform into a spirit, enter the afterlife, and survive there for eternity. Papyrus was pretty costly in ancient Egypt, and especially having a scribe inscribe the papyrus nicely and beautifully. Probably the upper and upper middle classes had most of the books of the dead. The Book of the Dead that we just finished conserving is a really interesting and probably unique example because it is gilded and it is complete. There are about 10 known gilded papyri in the world, and most of them are fragmentary. Our complete gilded papyrus is 21 feet long. This papyrus was acquired in Egypt in the 19th century by a British physician named Dr. Henry Abbott. 1853, he brought his thousands of objects to New York and established the first exhibition of ancient Egyptian art. Even Walt Whitman came to visit this exhibition about 20 times. Fortunately for us, this collection did not sell and ended up going to the New York Historical Society after Dr. Henry Abbott died. In 1937, the New York Historical Society lent their entire collection of antiquities to the Brooklyn Museum, and the Brooklyn Museum acquired it in 1948. All this means that the gilded papyrus has been in our building since 1937. The papyrus was attached to an acidic paper backing, which was hurting the papyrus because of the quality of the paper, and so it strained the papyrus fibers.
My name is Josephine Jenks. I am the Bank of America Papyrus Conservation Fellow. The papyrus needed conservation treatment because in its previous condition, it was too fragile and damaged to be on display in the galleries. The low quality backing paper that it was adhered to at some point in its history was slowly weakening and damaging the papyrus. This paper or cardboard was quite acidic, and acid is really the enemy of works on paper and papyrus when it comes to long-term preservation.
Before we started conservation, I had only seen about 6 inches of the scroll. The rest of it was rolled up. So I knew it was gilded, but I had no idea how long it was, the quality of the writing. The conservators and I collaborated quite a lot.
My name is Ahmed Tarek. I am a project conservator here at Brooklyn Museum. I take my training in Egypt, in Grand Egyptian Museum, and in Japan also for studying the tissue and Japanese paper and the Japanese technique for conservation. The main problem that we have before working in this papyrus is that there is no record for what happened for previous conservation or intervention. And it was very issues, because if we know what exactly the material they used for conservation, we can have a plan that will be not interact negatively with the other materials. So we were blind, that we are working without knowing what happened before here.
When the papyrus finally came out of storage, I was over the moon. We had to unroll it on the floor for the first time because it turned out to be so long. I was so excited. I fell to my knees and crawled around it reading the inscriptions.
Before we start any treatment, we begin with examination and analysis and testing. We rigorously document every part of the papyrus using multiple different photographic techniques. We photographed the scroll under ultraviolet radiation, in the infrared region, and each of those tools tells us more about the materials that were used to make the scroll and to restore it in the past.
They use two different types of adhesives that glue the papyrus to acetic paper. And one of them is animal glue, it's easy to remove, but the other thing is we cannot detect it, and it's very yellowing, and it's affected the papyrus and make it very weak. And also it was a good food source for insects and microorganisms, and we see a lot of insects damage.
We also use an instrument called X-ray fluorescence to tell us more about the chemical elements present in the papyrus. We can see which pigments were used, and we were able to verify that the gilding was in fact gold leaf.
The conservators and I have had many conversations about the process of gilding because there are only about 10 known examples of gilded papyrus. We don't know very much about gilding on papyrus. For example, we learned that some of the gilding on our papyrus was attached with a layer of gesso, and some of it may have been applied directly to the papyrus.
When we started our treatment, we realized that the first half of it had actually previously been cut into sections. Now, this isn't something that we would do to the artifact today, but it actually made our conservation treatment a bit easier because we could tackle the treatment a couple feet at a time.
Also, they didn't care about the right orientation for attaching the papyrus to the cardboard. So we found a lot of misaligning and flip over the papyrus to the cardboard, and it's making like more challenging to realigning it again.
My initial task was to go through the texts and make sure that the fragments were attached in the correct order and that everything was there.
When we got to roughly the 11-foot mark, we were a bit surprised to find out that the second half of the scroll was in one continuous piece. So our conservation treatment had to be a holistic one that happened for the 11-foot section in its completion. We ended up constructing a work surface that supported the scroll at either end so that we could have part of it rolled and part of it flat while we worked without stressing the fibers. It was a tricky bit of engineering, but it was a fun challenge.
We used a dino microscope to see the surface of the papyrus, the morphology, and we found there is different inscription in the drawing itself. And we thought that it's not just one person, it's more than one, at least it's two persons. And also we found dots. It's like a guideline for marker to write or to drawing. For me, it's the first time to see something like that.
Most of the spells have an image associated with them. And especially in the larger vignettes, you can often see a thin underdrawing. So like a sketch that was done before the final drawing was completed. The lines are a little bit different sometimes, which is why you can see them.
Some of the drawings are so miniature that there were details that we really couldn't see without magnification. So the microscope revealed the potential for multiple different artists who worked on this one scroll because of clear stylistic differences that were only visible through the help of magnification.
We discussed that with the curator, and that he confirmed with us that it's at least two persons that drawing this manuscripts. So the first thing is we were choosing the Japanese paper that we're using for facing and for lining. So it's very important two steps, because what we will use for facing, it should be like for temporary, so it should be like more easy for removing after finishing the working. And what we will using for lining, it should be like for the long term. So we're using like special Japanese paper. It's long fiber and it's like very strong and it's reversible also. So each material that we're using in conservation, it's reversible and we can change it in any time. The first step in conservation, it was the facing. We cover each part in the surface that we are working on and then flip it to start removing the backing. And for removing the backing, we're using silicate material that it's dissolved in water. Also, in some parts, we're using like just warm water for removing the backing. This is the longest step. It takes like too much time to remove the backing. We're using tweezers and we choose like small parts, like 1 centimeter by centimeter, like to remove it, like step by step. And we have to be patient, just not rush to keep the original fibers of papyrus.
I remember when I interviewed for this position, Ahmed asked me about my level of patience, and that kind of gave me a clue as to what the work would be like.
We finished removing the whole backing after like 16 months, right? Yeah, 16 months, just removing the backing.
When we first unrolled the papyrus, after it had been in storage for many years, there were already some fragments that were loose and not in their original place. And at the end of the entire treatment, after relining it, and removing the temporary facing from the front, we spent several days trying to find these fragments homes and working with our curator Katya to see if she could decipher the tail end of a hieroglyph or the tip of a vignette drawing to help us place these pieces where they belonged. Sort of like a jigsaw puzzle.
We really tried to find where they should be reattached. There are two ways of doing this. Either finding the signs that are missing or trying to trace the fibers of the papyrus. Ideally, it would be both. I have to admit we didn't place as many missing fragments as I had hoped.
As conservators, Ahmed and I are sensitive to the direction, the color, the thickness of the papyrus fibers.
Yeah.
But when we need to actually know what the script says, that's when we bring in Katya.
The first thing I learned when I started studying this papyrus is the name of the owner. This name has not been read for over 2,000 years. And the owner's name was Ankhmerwer, which means may the god Mnevis live. His mother's name is Taneferher, which literally translates to the one with the beautiful face. What was really interesting, however, is that unlike in most books of the dead, doesn't list any titles. Perhaps they didn't think it was important. Perhaps he was young and didn't have a chance to acquire a title important enough to list yet. That I don't know yet, but I'm still doing research. The Book of the Dead of Ankhmerwer dates to the Ptolemaic period. I was pretty certain of that based on the style of drawings and on the handwriting, but we did carbon-14 testing on a small fragment that had fallen off of the papyrus, and that confirmed the Ptolemaic period date. This means that it dates to about 200 B.C.E., so a little over 2,000 years old. The papyrus is inscribed in hieratic, which is a cursive form of hieroglyphs. Out of the nearly 200 Book of the Dead spells, our papyrus has most of them. Much of the papyrus is intact. By studying this papyrus, I'm hoping to learn more about the funerary religion during the Ptolemaic period. I'm also hoping to continue trying to find the original owner of the papyrus. Now the papyrus is consolidated and conserved, and that means that people like me can study it, and very importantly, we can finally put it on view and allow the public to appreciate the incredible artistry that went into creating this papyrus. Ahmed Tarek and the team of conservators at the Brooklyn Museum did an incredible job working on this Book of the Dead. They came up with absolutely new and unknown methods of conserving gilded papyri that are lengthy, and I'm so grateful and so impressed with their professionalism and their work.
In Egypt, I didn't work in gilded papyrus before, so it's the first time for me to working on something like that. Yeah, I'm very proud to working in this object here. It's good to have some of our culture here in different countries, that the other people and other culture can see what's the difference between here and there. Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
In the end, I'm so satisfied with how the treatment came out. The Book of the Dead visually looks cared for and well presented, which is important for visitors to see, and structurally it's regained its integrity, which is all that those of us working on it could have hoped for.